Good people, happy Tuesday, and welcome to another Tuesday happy hour with Eric the Malt Muser. Nice to see everybody. Just getting some things started here. How's everybody doing so far? Hope everybody's had a decent week. It's another week of lockdown here in COVID-Delphia, Pennsylvania. So doing the best we can, keeping everything keeping it tight, staying out of trouble, all that good stuff. But tonight we're going to sit back, relax, and put all that stuff out of our minds, have a little bit of whiskey. I got a couple of different things lined up tonight for happy hour. I'm starting off with one of my favorite just kind of starter whiskeys, palate starters, which is the Great Compass Box Great King Street Artist Blend. Going to keep having a couple more of this Johnny Walker 18. Got a little Wild Turkey Rare Breed to even things out. So it should be fun. And as always, as we've kind of started doing with Telex the Whiskey Tech, I'll be heading over to his show when he goes live at a little bit around 9:10, 9:15 tonight. So hope everybody's doing well. Like I said, already got something in the glass here. Be curious if anybody else has got something poured out already and what everybody's up to here on this Tuesday. So looks like we got some folks in the chat anyway already. And oh boy, Sergei, Sergei Funk's already here. Well, this was a while ago, so maybe he's not here. Let's get weird. Well, I'm not going to get too weird on a Tuesday, but you know, maybe just a little bit. Who else we got in the house? Mr. French. Been seeing you on Tuesdays lately. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah, time to drink a few, starting with a Deanston 18. Ooh, not had that one. I think that's the bourbon cask, if I'm not mistaken. Let me know, man. Hope you're doing well, French. Two Slows in the house saying hi. Daniel's here as well. What's up, guys? What's up, Daniel? Nice to see you. Happy Tuesday. That's a great conversation to have. He says, does everyone typically start with to get your palate warmed up? Yeah, that's a good question. For me, I definitely try to start some things with, start off with things that are kind of balanced and neutral, make my way towards older stuff, and then I'll kind of jump in with, usually get more into the peat as I go along. But, off the top of my head, Daniel, a few of the ones that I like to start with. So one, which is this, it's a blended scotch. I like blendeds to really kind of start with. Compass Box. This is a really good bottle. This is a bourbon cask. They also have one called the Glasgow blend. I'm going to be doing reviews of these soon, which is more of a sherry and has a little bit of peat smoke. But this one, mostly bourbon. It's nice, fruity, unoffensive, but still like full flavor and tasty. This is a good one. I also really like, Chivas Regal 12 or 18 ideally. This Johnny Walker 18 is really good. For Scotch, also Naked Grouse, Famous Grouse. I think those are both really stellar blends. Even Monkey Shoulder to some degree if you're into that one. Glenmorangie 10. For bourbon, it's a little bit more difficult for me. I think of starter bourbons. That's a good question. I try to go for things a little bit lower proof and things that are, again, like kind of balanced and neutral on flavor. I'd almost want to say like Four Roses small batch. It's got a little bit of rye spice, a little bit of that, caramely age to it. Four Roses small batch is a really good one to start with. And it's in that like $30 range. You can go even cheaper to get good bourbon, honestly. To think on the bourbon one a little bit more, but Wild Turkey, 101 is packing quite a punch, but I just love that stuff so much. Yeah, Four Roses, either the small batch or even their like standard yellow label. That's a really solid one. But yeah, just anything that's a little bit lower on the ABV. Nothing that's like too assertive. With bourbon, I try to shy away as much as I can from heavy rye, just because I think rye, kind of fries my palate a little bit. So not that, there's definitely some exceptions to the rule on that one. But the bourbon question is good, man. When you think about bourbon, There's probably a few more I can think of offhand that would be really good. Like Elijah Craig small batch. Again, it's got some rye, but not a lot. It's just giving you a little bit of that spice. One that I really like, but it's kind of pricey, is it's not a bourbon. It's an American whiskey. It's called Michter's. It's called Michter's like U.S. whiskey or Michter's American whiskey. It is so, I think I did a review of this sometime back, maybe not, but it's really, really creamy, smooth, nice body, but doesn't have a ton of like sharp flavor in it. It's almost just like an ice cream soda to some degree. Really, really good stuff. But that one you're paying a little bit more for. So yeah, I'd be curious, if anybody in the chat, when you're sitting around getting ready to do a flight and enjoy a couple single malts or bourbons or anything like that, what are your go-tos? So good question, Daniel. Daniel's starting off with an Ardbeg 10 first pour of the day. Damn. Well, I don't know where you go from Ardbeg 10. You're going to stick with the peat. Usually if I start with peat, it just kind of fries out my palate quite a bit. And I don't really have, can't pick up as much on other stuff, but nothing wrong with a peat night, right? Ben Demon Hunter's in the house. Ben, how you doing, buddy? Happy Tuesday. Slunch, nice to see you. Says hi to Eric, Daniel, and everyone. Jack Gamer's in the house. Jack, nice to see you as well, man. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Good to see you, Jack. Daniel said, lower ABV peat typically gets my palate ready faster. I usually start with a Laphroaig or Ardbeg. It's a weird case, though. I'm a weird case. Yeah, Ardbeg and Laphroaig would be, those are heavy hitters. I'd be curious if you've ever considered like maybe as a starter, but you want that peat, looking at like, and still reasonably priced, like a Laphroaig 10. It's a little bit less. Kalila 12 to some degree. Ardbeg, I know, but again, that's pricey. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of just running into that. It's the price thing, right? Like, I usually don't like to start off with super expensive whiskeys just because I usually find that things that are a little bit more expensive tend to be a little bit more aged, at least in some cases. So I want to make sure I can catch all the flavor out of that. But yeah, it's definitely to each his own. Glenmorangy's another one for you, yeah. Ben Teeman understood well if it's a peat night, yeah. Ben said, I do need to go clean and give my phone to my eager daughter. I'll mostly hook up again with Telex. Oh, right on, Ben. Yeah, we'll see you later, buddy. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. And, we'll catch you on the other side. Like I said, we'll be, which we're doing every week now. Telex and I are going to be doing a live show on his channel every Tuesday night, usually right around 9:15. And so this week we're going to be talking Bunnahabhain. So if you're a Bunna fan, definitely join this. He's going to be doing a Bunna that's not super easy to find. It's the Uncledoc. We're also going to talk about a couple other Bunnas. I have a few lined up, which I'll bring out when we go live. So should be another fun show. Be super cool to see folks join us over there a little bit after 9 p.m. Eastern. So, all right. What else is going on? Peat doesn't usually fry out my palate at all. So Daniel, for me, it makes my palate able to taste more flavors. Wow, that's interesting. Maybe I should start with the peat. I'm going to try out your theory here a little bit, buddy. Ben said my brother gave me a Benriach Barony Moss intensely peated, which would be a great starter dram. I'm really enjoying it. Ooh, Benriach is one I've actually just not had a lot of opportunity to try a bunch of. So be curious to hear more about that. There's so many Benriachs out there. The Bens in general. I've just finally got my hands on a couple Benromic. I got the Benromic Organic. I got the I think the Benromic 15 as well, which I got at pretty good prices. So Benriach is one I've just not really had the opportunity to get too much into, but definitely be interested in trying it. Yeah, Laphroaig 10's around $50-$60 here too, said Daniel. Damn, yeah, Laphroaig 10 is, sometimes you can get it sub 50, but not always easy. You're just not going to get a lot of good peated whiskeys that cheap. It sucks. But another starter whiskey that I really like, good old Highland Park, good old reliable Highland Park 12. Can't go wrong with that one. It says, perfect. I just bought a bottle of Bunna 12 today. That's great. Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, we're going to be chatting about Bunna on the Telex show. So this will be a lot of fun. Boone is a distillery that I've been really getting into more over the last year. I've had the opportunity to, I think last year I had a bottle of the Bunnahabhain 18, which for me, I think it was in my top 5 whiskey of the year. I think it was number 3 or number 4, if I recall. Really, really love that. That just blew me away. I really love Bunnahabhain's. Just got this kind of, I don't know, their signature style. It's hard to describe, but it's almost like this kind of dark, raisiny, barley, full body whiskeys. I've never had a Bunna that I thought was like light on the palate, which is one of the things I really enjoy about their style. The Bunna 18 was a real hit for me. I've had the opportunity to also get my hands on the one of the Moynia series. It's a Bordeaux wine cask. I just haven't had the chance to open it yet. I have a tendency not to open everything right away because I buy so much stuff in spurts. And so I'll buy like 5 things in a couple days and then not buy anything for a while. And so I get into one and I just kind of want to work on that one for a while, but to each his own on that. But yeah, this should be it'll be a good time talking about Bunna with my buddy Telex. And yeah, I hope to see you over there, man. Cheg 10 is the bottle that I want the most. Yeah, Ben, the Laphroaig 10, where to start on that? Flies under the radar for sure. It's peaty, but I wouldn't say it's like heavy. It's not that like Laphroaig, Band-Aid, hospital, iodine punch. And it's not that Ardbeg kind of earthy road tar thing. The peat smoke on that, I think if I compared it to an Islay, closer to Kalila, a little bit more effervescent, a little bit more citrus. Good whiskey. I think it's over. I have a bottle. I think it's like they do it at over 43% too, which is great. Yeah, it's good stuff. And honestly, it's still like relatively reasonable price because I just don't think Laphroaig is a distillery that a lot of folks pick up. Well, Laphroaig, to be more accurate, Laphroaig is actually not the distillery. It's from Tobermory, but it's one of their peated lines called Laphroaig. Good stuff. I actually bought a bottle of the Laphroaig 18 when I was over in London last year. Still haven't opened that one either. So that one's on the agenda for this year for sure. But yeah, the Laphroaig line, they have a ton of honestly very expensive, but they do a lot of very expensive kind of like heavily aged wine cask stuff. Laphroaig is also one that you can find a lot of independent bottlers of. I think Signatory's got some. I think there's some. I want to say Douglas Lang, maybe. I don't know. There's a couple out there. I would love to try pretty much any of them. Jack Gamer is talking about starter whiskeys. Deanston 12 or Bunnahabhain 12, perfect for starting. Yeah. Deanston 12 is not one I've had. I've had the Bunna long time ago. Actually, later tonight I may be cracking open a bottle of Bunna 12. It's been a real long time since I've had the opportunity to try that, and I don't even remember really what it tastes like. Other than that, I expect it to be kind of that Bunnahabhain signature kind of style. Yeah, so we'll be getting into that a bit later. Hooked up with a Ben Romick peat smoke, really nice variation from Ardbeg. Really nice variation from. Oh, it's not okay. Ben Romick's not. Ben Romick is a whatever. If you're into this whole region thing, I think they're a Space Cider, but they do have that peat smoke whiskey, which is I've heard a lot of good things about. Is that an NAS, Jack? I don't quite remember. I'd love to try that. I mean, there's not enough time in the day to go through the list of all the whiskeys I want to try, but Ben Romick is a distillery that I'm starting to get into, and was really excited to get my hands on the Ben Romick Organic, which is an NAS. Another one I've heard good things about, so I'm going to just kind of jump in with both feet on that one. And then I got the 15, which is really, really good. Ben was also talking about the Madeira cask being a really good one from Ben Romick, or Ben Riek. Got it. Cool. Ben Demon Hunters want to get several Ben expressions that I can get my hands on. Well, it makes sense for you, man. Shag has hidden sweetness as Jack Gamer. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. $50 is sufficient. Yeah, $50 is like about that range for the Laphroaig 10. Obviously you can get a Laphroaig Select or a Laphroaig 10 maybe a little bit cheaper. Our Beg 10's right in that 50 range. It's a good change of pace. You want a nice heavy peated Scotch. I mean, the Port Charlotte is another good peated 10, but that one's definitely more expensive. So you're going to be paying a bit more for that. Hey, Oak and Smoke is in the house. Ben, good to see you again. Nice to see you, Oak and Smoke. Thanks for stopping by for happy hour. Wonder what are you sipping on tonight? Oh no, I got dates on the bottle, so you need to do the math. It's got the dates on the bottle, says Jack Gamer. Oh, you're talking about the Ben Romick. Oh, the peat smoke. Got it. Yeah, I don't understand. I think most whiskeys, especially NASs, why not always just put that on the scan on the bottle? It's not like the only people who are going to know to look for it are people who are like whiskey, heads. But of course, also, it's going to be folks that have already bought the bottle. So it's not as if people are going to be like, oh, I won't buy this because it's an NAS already. So. No, wait, actually, are those the bottling dates or are those the distillate dates? I suppose maybe it changes. You get like the scan code on the bottom. Yeah, Oak and Smoke is in the house. Nice to see you. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to move on to, I'm going to switch up the order a little bit. I'm going to get into some of this rare breed. This is Wild Turkey's barrel proof. 58.4%. Just cracked this over the weekend. Probably be doing a review on this soon. Wild Turkey, one of my favorite bourbon distillers. We got this glass washed out. We'll put it back in the dirty glass. Why not? I'm a big fan of Wild Turkey. Their 101, I think, is probably one of the best values in bourbon. You really just can't go wrong with that stuff. But Wild Turkey has a very signature flavor that I can understand not everybody into. And, you get it on this too. It's cotton candy. It's like cotton candy Twizzler type thing, sweet strawberry licorice, red licorice thing. I don't get that on anybody else but Wild Turkey. And this is low rye too, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, it doesn't tell you on the bottle, but Austin Gardner's in the house. What's up, Austin? Nice to see you. Sorry, I'm a bit late. No, man, I'm actually early. So the last few weeks I've done this little Tuesday happy hour pregame before we do the Telex show. I've been doing it at 8:30, and I don't want to make it a happy half hour. So I'm going to do my best to always do it an hour. I can't guarantee to be that way every week, but I'm going to try and keep it around that hour mark because we got to do things right here. I don't want to be false advertising everything to y'all. Ben Demon or Dan said definitely try Laphroaig. Yeah, for sure. With you on that. Edward had a question for you guys. Between the Aberlour 12 and Talisker 10, which has the more savory, rich notes with an oilier mouthfeel? Oh, Talisker 10 for sure. Aberlour, I think, is actually a really, especially when you get into the lower age statements on Aberlour, they're very light. I'm a notorious Aberlour hater, so don't necessarily take my complete word for it. But if I'm being objective, I mean, even the Aberlour 16 I thought was really, really light. And that's going to be 40% ABV. Talisker, a much different profile. So Aberlour, you're getting that sherry, much more sherry influence. Talisker is going to be, a little bit more peppery, peaty. But that's at 45.8%, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'd get Talisker 10 for sure if you're making a choice between those two. But yeah, if anybody else has got opinions on that, drop it in the chat. I think you want that savory note. I mean, it's not super savory, but it's definitely going to be rich and oily. I don't think Aberlour 12 is exactly savory either. So if you want something fruitier or like much more fruit forward and lighter, Aberlour 12. But if you want a kind of a more punchy, intense whiskey that's going to give you, a bit more bang for your buck, Talisker 10. And it's just a classic. I'm not a huge Talisker fan, but you really can't go wrong with that. I mean, that's just a whiskey that most folks are not going to be disappointed buying. Whereas Aberlour 12, I do have some ideas of alternatives if you're looking for a sherry whiskey that's 12 years old. Glendronach 12, Glenfarclas 12, Glenmorangie Lasanta. But good question, Edward. And yeah, man, if anybody's got opinions on this, drop it in the chat, y'all. Thanks for swinging by, Edward. Sláinte. Oak and Smoke's got some Buffalo Trace at the moment. I can't go wrong with Buffalo Trace. Good stuff. Oh, it does have both dates. Cool, Jack Gamer. Sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the chat. Sup, Muser and Chatters. Hey, Luis. How you doing? Cheers. Happy Tuesday. I think I saw you hanging out a bit last week too, man. Thanks for swinging by. What are you sipping on tonight? Anything? Daniel said Aberlour 12 can almost get really grapefruit. A lot of people don't like that. I happen to like it, but Talisker is a much more rich and sea brine and oily. Yeah, for sure. Daniel's got it. Daniel's right on that. Meanwhile, man, I'm telling you, fucking wild turkey rare breed. You just can't go wrong with this stuff. I got to put a little water on it though, y'all. This has got a lot of bite to it. 58% Anybody else had it? Like big fans of wild turkey or had this wild turkey rare breed? 58.4. Man, this is a seriously good bourbon and good price too. This is sub $50 in most places. Barrel proof. Now you will see they have a single barrel called Kentucky Spirit that almost goes for $15-20 more than this. It doesn't make any sense to me. This is superior in every way. Neither have age statements, but this is probably, God, I wish they would have a little more info on it, but I mean, this has got to be like 5 or 6 years, I would think. Killer bottle, man. And again, $50 or less for a barrel proof bourbon of quality. If you're a wild turkey fan, man, rare breed, you can't go wrong with this. And I'm enjoying it. I have not had this in a few years, so man, it's really great to jump back in and get to enjoy this again. This is good stuff. And it goes well because I'm kind of doing some bourbon, mostly bourbon influenced single malts here as we get ready for the Buna tasting. Edward said, "Thanks for the advice, man. Appreciate it." Yeah, for sure, man. That's what we're here for. And thanks for swinging by. And good question. I'd be curious if you've had any other peated whiskeys at all, because Talisker 10, while not a heavily peated Scotch, definitely is going to have some punch. I mean, it's peppery. It's got, some smokiness to it. I mean, if that's if you've found that you like peat, yeah, man, Talisker 10, it's a classic. You just can't go wrong with it. But if you're not a big peat fan, we might want to think of an alternative to both of these. Glendronach 12 is amazing, outstanding, said Oak and Smoke. Yeah, Glendronach 12 is awesome. Great stuff. And I'm sure you know by now my thoughts on Aberlour 12, but this is Ben Demon Hunter, but I can see where you're coming from. FYI, I'm hitting my 1-year anniversary of starting to drink Scotch. Oh, shit. Well, Solanges, man, that's fantastic. I'd be curious to hear where you started your journey with, Ben. I know you've referenced a few times, like you've had some bottle shares or some sample shares with your brother who got you into some of this stuff, man. Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey, buddy. That's so cool. I'm a few years ahead, but not much. And where I've been really into single malts. I was much more of a tequila person, and then it was bourbon, and now it's mostly Scotch. But here's a good question for everybody: how bad is Aberfeldy 12? It's like $40. Honestly, I don't think it's bad at all. I think Aberfeldy 12 is pretty good. I would describe it, Jack, if you've ever had the Glenmorangie 12, kind of honey, sweet, kind of bright fruit, not dark fruit cherry, but more like what kind of fruit? Maybe apple, pear, honey, a little bit of citrus, malty. I mean, $40, I think it's a decent pour. Especially if, like I said, if you've had Glenmorangie 10, it's very similar to that, I think, in its overall profile. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's bad at all. And for $40, again, we were talking a little bit earlier about palate starters. Good palate starter, Aberlour 12. I'd grab a bottle if you got a little extra coin. Nothing wrong with that one. Man, rare breed. Killing it. Solanges, yeah, back at you, Edward. Nothing tonight, Louis says. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, you too. I should have probably had something a little bit more appropriate. Speaking of tequilas. Yeah, I still do like some tequila. I like, there's a couple that I really enjoy. Dos Lunas Reposada, which is not as easy to find anymore. That's a really good tequila. Boy, thinking off the top of my head, oh God, I can't remember the name of it. I kind of like the reps the most because they got a little bit more of that spicy kick. The añejos are sometimes a little bit too bourbony for me, and I kind of miss that agave, that signature agave flavor. But yeah, there's a lot of good tequilas out there. I have a small collection of tequila still, but really not as into it as I was, but enjoy it for sure. And it's a good change of pace, especially like when you get to the point where you can sip tequila straight or with a little bit of water, like, that's when you really realize it. What I often find is most folks I know, like they had, Jose Cuervo Gold when they were in college and, got sick off it and swear off tequila for the rest of their lives. And I always try and tell them, like, first of all, Cuervo Gold is not a tequila. It is actually a mixito, right? Because it's mixed with other sugars. It's not 100% Blue Weber agave. So not a good example. And like, if you can get past that, man, there's some real good sipping tequilas out there. I think it's something that, frankly, a lot of folks write off, think it's only good as a mixer. Not true at all. So many good tequilas. Yeah, Luis was talking about the Aberlour kind of being like Aberlour. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Although I think that the Aberlour 12 has even got a little bit more full body. Edward said, yeah, not everyone is a peat head. I actually love peat and have been a single malt Scotch drinker for about 5 years now. My go-to will always be Laphroaig cast strength. Oh man, Edward, you're speaking my language. I did a review video about a few months back where I did my top 5 Laphroaigs. And you could probably guess where the Laphroaig cast strength ended up on that. I think for the money and the quality and the fact that you get batch variation where like every year it's going to be a little bit different, you can't go wrong. Criminally good whiskey. And I think it's probably the best thing Laphroaig puts out in their core range for sure. Even better than the Lore. Some of their heavily aged stuff in the 25-year and stuff is obviously really good, but is it 4 times as good considering the price? Not so sure. Daniel's not a tequila fan. Mezcal, however, we can talk. Yeah, mezcal. Yeah, I didn't get too into it. Mezcal is one of those things I could probably find myself getting back into now that, now that I'm into like peated Scotch, smoky Scotch. Mezcal seems like right in my wheelhouse. I've only had a couple, to be honest, so I can't speak too much on it, but Edward said, I like tequila sometimes, but the flavor or the problem I have is that I can't really enjoy the flavors like I do with single malts. I don't know. Don't mesh with my chemistry. Yeah, I can understand that. Like sometimes, like I think that, that agave kind of sharp, peppery, I don't know, almost citrusy note can be a little overpowering in a lot of them, especially the younger ones. But I think the reposados, the rested ones, are kind of the sweet spot. They're in that like 2 month, 8 month range of aging. Because once you start getting higher than that, I just find them, they get real caramely, they get really bourbony, which, is good, but it's not quite what I like. I kind of like the punchiness of young tequila, but with a little bit of age, so it gives it some complexity. But, there's exceptions across the board on that for sure. We'll holler at you, buddy. See you shortly. Oh, Daniel. Oh, cool. Ben Demon Hunter signing off. Yeah, that's right. Take it easy, Ben. We'll see you in a little while. Anyways, yeah, so I'm actually really curious about this rare breed. I wonder what the mash bill is on this. I mean, I know that Wild Turkey uses some rye, but it's a low rye mash bill. Not really sure. The rare breed is a blend of 6, 8, and 12-year-old bourbons. That makes sense. As for the mash bill on it, oh, here it is. Mash bill: 75% corn, 13% rye, 12% barley. There you go. So it is actually, yeah, it is actually got some rye, but it's low rye, which is good. I like bourbons with some rye in it. I mean, it's a huge whiskey, man. This whiskey has got serious heavy flavor, and it's so cheap. It's just so cheap. Like, how is this a $40 bottle? And there's so many folks who will pay well more than $40 for a bourbon. Like, for a barrel proof, you can't go wrong. I mean, it's not the most complex whiskey in the world, but this stuff is good. This will satisfy the bourbon craving if you got one, for sure. Be curious if anybody else has had this. Cool. We still got like 9 folks in the chat. Awesome, man. This is great. All turkey mash bill is the same. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. Because you can tell it's got a little bit of spice to it, right? I mean, it's not just one of these like full corn or these like wheaters, right? Where it's just like super sweet and creamy and it doesn't have much spice to it. This has got a little bit of bite to it. And I think for the price, you really can't go wrong. I'd be curious though. I mean, if anybody's like the Russell's Reserve stuff, that note I get, that like I was saying earlier, that cotton candy, kind of cherry candy note. I get it so much on Wild Turkey and Russell's Reserve stuff for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna actually put a little bit more water on this, y'all. Anyways, catch up in the chat here. Moved from tequila to whiskey about 2 years ago. Now exploring American single malts. Oh, cool. I've yet to really have any American single malts, so I'd be curious if you've got any recommendations, Jack. Sounds like you and I had a kind of a similar trajectory in terms of what we were exploring when it comes to spirits. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear about that. And definitely if you have any American single malt recommendations. Daniel said, when my friends and I started getting into Scotch and bourbon, we had a friend who loved tequila and always kept trying to sneak that stuff into our tasting. There were a couple of really good ones. Yeah, you're not going to miss that. Wild Turkey Rare Breed and Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve are the best values in bourbon. Daniel knows what's up. I'm always evangelizing about the Knob Creek Single Barrel Reserve. So the thing about that one is good price. It's like $40-$45, 9 years, 60 proof. But the barrel select process that they have, where liquor stores get the opportunity to pick their own barrels, is really robust. So most of the time you can go into a store and find either a store pick version of the 9-year or one that's even much more aged for still sub $50. I have a couple Knob Creek single barrels that are 15-year-olds. I have a couple like 13s. Really, like, it's just a great deal. And so many stores do this. There's not many other whiskeys I think have as much of a robust barrel select program as the Knob Creek does. I mean, you'll find some like New Riff is starting to now. Elijah Craig, Maker's Mark. Maker's Mark has a lot of like private selects, but those are really expensive. That Knob Creek single barrel is a huge value. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, Daniel, for sure, for sure. Edward said, you guys get me. Yeah, mezcal's a different story altogether. It's much smoother and tastier than your average tequila. Yeah. Daniel said the typos. I was reading through your typos, buddy. I saw what you were getting at. I picked up the essence of what you were saying. Must be the Ardbeg talking. That's funny. Yeah. So, what else is going on, man? This has been like I haven't picked up anything new as of recent. Oh, you know what I did open this week? I finally cracked open this. This is the new Teapot Dram Glengoyne. Holy cow, is this a good whiskey? This is batch 007. This is one of the better whiskeys I've ever had. I still need to do some exploring with it before I could actually do a review of this. I don't like to just review things, open it up and review it. I think that you got to take your time with whiskey to some degree. I mean, that's just me, but this was just unbelievable out of the bottle. A little hot, but really incredible. I cracked that open. That's it, really. I don't think I've got anything else recently, man. This COVID-19 is kind of keeps you out of the shopping a little bit. So you did a great job, Daniel. That's funny. Wow, with a little bit more water on this, it really takes that spice out, actually. I'd be curious, do folks here like to, do you guys put water on stuff that's at higher proof? I usually, later in the night, I'll probably not put water on it. But when I'm starting out, and I just feel like a little bit of water goes a long way on some of these for sure. ABV on the Teapot Jack is 59.9. So it's coming in pretty potent. Daniel said, tell me about the Great King Street you have there. I've never tried any of those. Being a Compass Box fan, I'm sure it's solid. Yeah. So this one thing I love about Compass Box, I'll tell you right off the bat, they give you the most amount of information about the whiskey that you're drinking than pretty much any distillery I've seen. Balvenie is one of them that also does it a lot. Springbank to some degree, but so yeah, this is a natural color, non-chill filtered, 43%. This is the Great King Street Series Artist Blend. This is a sub $40 bottle, 43% ABV. It's pretty much all ex-bourbon. And it's a blend, so it's got grain and malt, but really, really good. This is, like I was saying earlier, a great palate starter. They have another one, which actually I have. Maybe I'll grab it real quick. Hang on. I'm actually going to do some full reviews of these. But this is another one. I think they have like 3 or 4 in this Great King Street, but this is the other one that you see a lot. This is the Great King Street Glasgow blend, also 43%, non-chill, natural. This one has got peat in it and it's sherry matured. But like, man, they give you so much info. They even give you batch number, all this stuff, date it was bottled. I mean, this is again, sub $40 bottle. Like, you just got to love Compass Box's style. I'm going to do both of these in one video, I think in a week or two. So I think I've kind of finally got to my point, but my point of knowing what I think about them. But as you can see, I drink a lot more of one than the other. This one I don't think is as much a good palate starter. This one's just got a bit more, it's got a bit more, complexity. It's a bit more powerful. Again, it's got a bit of peat in it. I'm not sure what blends they use. I'm sure they tell us on here. Yeah, it's not. Actually, it doesn't tell us what blends they all have in here or what whiskeys they use to blend this, but good stuff. Really good stuff. We're gonna pour a little bit of that next. Yeah, I would highly recommend either of those. They're standout drams for sure. I try water on everything, Daniel said. I like seeing how things change. Yeah, me too. I have a huge problem with Glengoyne though. It never lasts very long and seems to run out quicker than other things. Yeah, man. Some Glengoynes I am just a huge, huge fan of. The 15, which I believe is now discontinued, awesome Glengoyne. The 18 I thought was actually not as good as the 15. Their 12 is great. This Teapot Dram though is next level. I I saw somebody ask where I got it. Yeah, I ordered it from Europe. It was some website. I don't know what it's called. Great Drams, something like that. I'll have to look for it. That was really good. Really good stuff. Is anybody a fan of Michter's 20, Four Roses, and Noah's Mill bourbons? I've had all three, although I just had a dram of Michter's because it's too pricey for me. Dude, yeah, Michter's 20 is so expensive. And honestly, you can't get that unless it's at the distillery or because it's heavily allocated. I mean, you can get it on secondary market. That's the best. I actually went to the little Michter's tasting room in Louisville when I did the Bourbon Trail last year. Man, the Michter's 20 is legit. The 20, I like the rye even a little bit more, but the 20 is great. Noah's Mill is solid. Four Roses, amazing. You want to talk about another distillery that does barrel selections right? Four Roses. They have this thing where they release their single barrel with 10 different mash bill variations at barrel proof. They're like $70. So you can try all 10 different, and they're at different ages. So you can try like 10 different mash bills of Four Roses. I can't say enough about that. So yeah, big fan across the board on that, Edward, for sure. Absolutely agree. I started putting a few drums, and yeah, for sure, man. I'm with you on that, Edward. Andrew Page is in the house. Andrew, how are you doing? Nice to see you, man. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. Asking if the Great King Street is the most affordable compass box. Yes. I don't think there's anything cheaper in the compass box line than the Great King Street series. Both of these are $40 or less. I've seen them as low as like $32, which is a freaking steal. Unchill filtered, natural color, 43%. Great deal. Definitely worth keeping your eyes out for. There's also a third one. I think it's called like the New York blend. I've never had that. I can't really find it. These are the two I see the most. The Artist blend and the Glasgow Street. Or Glasgow Street? What's it called? Great King Street. Oh, Glasgow blend. Yeah. But I think there's like a New York one too. I always like Glengoyne 15, which has American oak. Yeah, I think they got rid of it. I think it's off the market now, the Glengoyne 15. I think it was the sweet spot for them. The thing about Glengoyne is it's kind of light. It's kind of a light whiskey on the palate. And so the 15, I thought, just had a bit more spice going on to it. But their 12 is nothing to sneeze at. It's all like all the Glengoyne stuff is sherried. Really good stuff. Jack said he uses a dropper for water. Yeah, I got to get myself one of those. Daniel said I didn't know Michter's 20 was a thing. Oh, it's a thing. If you got like $300-400, it's a thing. Maybe, I don't know. Is that around the right price for the single malt, or for not the single malt, for the Michter's? Michter's, yeah, about $300 is probably what you're going to find a 20-year-old for. Maybe more on secondary market. Again, they're all allocated, so it's really hard to find. But yeah, man, those aged Michter's are freaking great bottles. I had the opportunity. My brother's a big bourbon head, and so I had the opportunity to try a Michter's. I had the Michter's barrel proof rye. It was on the holidays last year. Really, really good. And yeah, there's a 20-year-old bourbon, and I think there's a 20-year-old rye. Alan, the whiskey friend, is in the house. Alan, how you doing, buddy? Happy Tuesday. Thanks for swinging by happy hour. I'm sure by you, it's more like the witching hour, considering you're all the way across the pond. What are we talking about tonight? Well, we've been talking about a bunch of stuff. Palate starters, like what are the whiskeys you like to start with? I've been kind of going through a couple, doing the Compass Box, Glasgow, and Artist blend, Johnny Walker 18, doing a little rare breed. And then I'll be heading over to Whiskey Tech, Jason the Whiskey Tech's, or Telex the Whiskey Tech's channel for our weekly show at 9:15, where we're going to be talking Buna. So he's just got a Ancledoc. I'm not sure, maybe you've seen that one around your parts, but he had it shipped to him from England. He's going to be sampling the Ancledoc. I'm going to be, I just recently got this Buna. This is hand-filled from the distillery, 10-year-old Manzanilla cask, straight from the Bunnahabhain distillery. So I'm going to be drinking a little bit of this, and then I got a old bottle of Buna 12, which I'm going to crack open tonight while we're chatting Buna on his channel. So Just hanging out. I saw that you were off for a little while, Alan, and now you're back, man. Great to see you. You'll be happy to know. I know you just did a review of this. I myself also got a bottle of the Teapot Dram, batch 7. Unbelievable. This is my first one, but what an unbelievable whiskey. Might be one of the best I've ever had. And I've only had a couple pours out of it. So yeah, just hanging out doing happy hour, man. Thanks for swinging by. Jack Gamer said, how's the Peat Monster? Good question. Peat Monster is, I think it's mostly Kalila. There might be Talisker in it as well. I like the Peat Monster, but I would say that it's not very much a monster. It's not, I mean, it ain't Laphroaig 10. So it's not going to punch you in the face quite as heavy as those, as something like a Laphroaig 10 or a Lagavulin 8 or, to some extent, even like Ardbeg 10. Not quite as heavy, smoky, punchy as that, but it's a good whiskey. It's got some good complexity, good flavor, and not bad price too. I think Peat Monster you can get around that. I don't know, what is that, like $50, $55 range? I think it's a little bit more in the style of I'd say it's more in the style of Laphroaig 10 and Kalila than it is like those heavy, earthy, medicinal peat smoke whiskeys that you get from some of the places in Islay. Should you go spend $50 on it? If you've had the classics of Islay, if you've had the Ardbegs, Lagavulin, Laphroaig, Kilholm and Mocker Bay even, yeah, you might like it as a change of pace. It's also probably a decent intro to peated whiskey. But yeah, the idea that it's a monster, not so much. Some folks might disagree with me on that. Anyone had the chance to try the Kilkerran 8 sherry? Does it live up to the hype? I haven't had any luck finding any, said Austin. Nope. I wish, but no. Have not had the opportunity to try that. Kilkerrans seem to show up rather slow here. Which Kilkerrans do I have? I have the Work in Progress Sherrywood, the 12. I've had the Peat in Progress Batch 1. I know there's a lot of hype around the Kilkerran 15s now, but I never see that anywhere. So, yeah, I'm just like you, Austin, man. I can't find that stuff anywhere. Oh, that 8 cast strength is around a lot, but I've never pulled the trigger on it. Alan, the whiskey friend, says it's freaking awesome. Tough to find, though, yeah. Daniel said, well, unique side story in the Texas whiskey world. Balcones released their Texas Bock. They made a Shiner Bock beer and distilled that for this whiskey. I'm going to go about try a bottle. Yeah, Balcones is interesting, man. I have a couple bottles of their stuff. I've had the Brimstone, which is like one of the most unique whiskeys I've ever had. It literally tastes like barbecue. Like I can't stress enough how much it's literally like you're standing outside a mesquite barbecue. That whiskey is crazy. They also have a Baby Blue, which is like 100% blue corn. I haven't opened it yet, but some folks really like it. Balcones is doing some interesting stuff, even though that the Texas whiskey scene is not something I'm super into, but a lot of folks are, they're doing cool stuff. They're locally sourcing all their stuff. They're very transparent about what they put in their bottles. They're not using these high yield corns. It's kind of more of a back to basics approach. Got to respect that. Oh, Alan said, I'm going to send you some of that Kilkerran 8 sherry. 16 is out in September. Yeah, Alan, that would be great, man. I'd love to, I know we talked a few months back about, trying to arrange some sample swaps over email. I'll drop my email in the chat, Alan, if you want to get back at me about some of that. Like, I'd love to figure out a time where we can do some swaps. I'm unfortunately right now, because of the coronavirus stuff, it's a little dicey for me to go to mail or post offices. So I'm a little bit behind. I got a couple folks that I'm going to be swapping some samples with, but yeah, I'm just waiting it out. I'm just, I live in West Philadelphia, and it's kind of like, I'm not about to be going to the post office right now. It's a little dicey, but hopefully things will get a little bit more safe in the next couple weeks or months. Fingers crossed. All right. So yeah, I'm actually gonna do this Glasgow Street now. Again, man, I can't stress enough. These are cheap bottles, but just punching above their weight. This Glasgow Street, which is peated and sherried, the Artist Blend, which is bourbon cask. Great stuff, man. A total steal at $30 some. I highly recommend anybody get them. They're great palate starters, as we were talking about earlier. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in the glass. Looks like we're getting close to 9 o'clock, which is awesome. We'll roll until a little bit after 9. Like I said, I'm gonna be doing this every week. It's a little happy hour show before Telex, the Whiskey Tech, and I go on his channel to do our weekly show, which we've started a couple weeks ago. So hope you guys can join us over there as well. Right when he kicks off the show, I'll drop the link down in the chat, and we can head over there. We're going to be talking Bunnahabhain tonight. We have he's got a couple different Bunnahabhains. Oh, he's got one Bunnahabhain that he got from overseas called the Ankladok that he's going to be tasting tonight, and then we're going to just talk Bunna and taste a few. So should be good. Right on. So yeah, just for posterity, going to do this. Like I said, I'm going to be reviewing both of these relatively soon. Really good whiskeys. Daniel said West Philadelphia, born and raised. The playground. Yeah, nah, not born and raised in West Philly. I've lived in Philly for close to a year now. Richard Blanca says common Corona hoax stop. Quote Corona hoax. I'm not sure. Well, nice to see you, Richard. I'm not sure if you're actually saying it's a hoax or if you're making fun of people who say it's a hoax. But either way, nice to see you. Hope you're enjoying some whiskey tonight. Man, this is good. This is what the color looks like on this. This is sherry. It's an NAS, but it's a really light for a sherry whiskey. I don't know if it's fully matured or if it is. Yeah, I don't think it's fully matured, but I'm not sure. It just says bold, peaty, and sherried. They have so much info on here, but the one thing they don't tell you is what it's all been, what their blends are part of. It says here, in Glasgow Blend, we've combined smoky maritime character of mature Islay malt whiskey with the rich fruitcake character of sherry cask matured Speyside Scotch and deep vanilla richness of lowlands grain. So it's lowland grain and then Speyside and Islay single malts in it. Awesome. You can't go wrong with this stuff. And it's a stupid deal. Oh, look who's here. DH Silv, nice to see you. I give the non-peated Great Kings a 40 and the peated one a 55, and neither are worth drinking neat. Really? Man, yeah, I disagree. I think they're like super solid for the price and great sippers. They're not super complex, but we were talking a little bit earlier about palate starters, and I think the Artist Blend in particular is a really solid one to go with as kind of a palate starter. It's got a decent flavor. Daniel said social distancing protects your inside, whisk and cleans your insides. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, Daniel, I'm with you on that for sure. I have a black bottle Bunna 18 unopened. What's the black bottle Bunna 18? I'm not sure I've heard of that one before. Oh, like the old label, like the label that looks more like this. Yeah, I've heard from some folks, actually, I think DH Silv is one. I think DH Silv actually was saying a while back that you noticed that he noticed a difference between the new Bunna and the old Bunna when they changed the label, like that the juice might have changed itself. But Edward said, sounds good, man. Need to pick myself up a bottle of that. Never had it before. Yeah, I think it's really good. Too much ethanol in those neat. Oh, that's interesting, man. I noticed that actually when I opened them originally, but I'm not getting it much now. Like this has probably been open for 4 months. This actually smells like, I don't get much ethanol at all. A little bit more on the sherry than I do on the artist blend. Yeah, I don't know. I think these are solid blends at a good price. I mean, I would drink this over, for the price, over Johnny Walker Red any day. And the only other one that I think is kind of in that same range, the only one, Naked Grouse or Famous Grouse, even kind of in that same wheelhouse. I like what they've done with this. Yeah, nothing super complex, but good stuff. Richard Blanca said yes, sir. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to get my hands on one of those. Oh, Andrew Page said, I'm looking at the Compass, the CP website. The Glasgow blend is 18% Laphroaig. Does that send out? Okay, yeah, that's where that peat's coming from for sure. It doesn't stand out necessarily, but you can tell it's not like tropical sweet citrus. I mean, it's definitely drying. It's got a bit of that kind of earthiness to it. Ethanol, Band-Aid thing. I guess I wouldn't have pinpointed it as Laphroaig, but I think it's not surprising that it is. Plus, it's non-chill natural, so put a little bit of water on it. We'll see what happens. I don't know how much this is going to change it. 43%. So I concur. We both have a PhD peat degree. Nice. Yeah, Mike and Keith have a review of the 18 versus 18 on Mike's channel. Oh, I got to check that out. Okay, so what's your starter most day? I go with cheap bourbon. I don't like cheaper scotches. They're not worth it. Yeah, for the most part, I agree with you on that, dude. So I think that bourbon, I think it's just the fact that, like, for the most part, the range of like good bourbon to bad bourbon is tighter than it is with scotch, where I think you can get a lot more out of scotch, but you can also get a bit less. Whereas bourbons, it's a little bit tighter. I think you can get there's decent cheap bourbons for sure. And there's, you go much more expensive. It's not necessarily, with the exception of some, of course, like you're not getting a huge more bang for your buck. I was drinking this Rare Breed earlier, this is about a $35, $40 bottle. I think this is really good, but the 101 isn't like significantly worse. Whereas with some scotch, the variation's a lot different, I think. Whiskey Friend saying hi to Dustin. I'd rather blend my own with Laphroaig 10s to check in. There you go. Yeah, do it, man. Infinity bottle, right? You might as well. I actually haven't started one of those yet, but I'm thinking about it. Richard Blancas with the 6 Springbank collection. Oh, to DH Silva. Yeah, DH Silva's he's got some good Springbanks, no doubt. Rare Breed for 35. Wow. Oh yeah, man. I think Rare Breed is, again, I don't know. I don't see it more than 40 for most places, and this is in PA. Let me just drop it in here really quick and see. Yeah, $40, 35, 40. Looks like it might probably has increased a little bit, but last year I think it was sub 40 in most places. Good. It's a great pour, and I mean, even at $40, I think it's stupid cheap. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to this Johnny Walker 18. Cap things off with this. We got probably about 15 minutes before I'm gonna head over to Telex, where we're gonna be chatting Boona. I'd rather blend my own. Oh, Jackie Maroge, yeah. Do any of y'all do infinity bottles? Jimmy T says Rare Breed. What's up, Jimmy? How you doing? Yeah, man. Rare Breed. I'm not sure who said it earlier. I think it was Daniel. Rare Breed and Knob Creek Single Barrel. You want to talk about good deals. Good deals in bourbon where you're punching above their weight in terms of price, those two. Johnny Walker 18. Solid, but I'm not going to say you should go buy it. Solid stuff, though. Nice presentation. Good gift for somebody who doesn't know, doesn't know much about scotch. Edwardson Mom, these are, hey man, what's your opinion on Glenfarclas? I personally really enjoy it, but I've heard some people and reviewers say they get pneumonia sulfur aftertaste. My opinion of Glenfarclas kind of varies. I think Glenfarclas 12 is fine for the price. The 15 I've heard is really good. The Glenfarclas 25, I think, is that one's tough because the price is really good for a 25-year-old whiskey. It's just not amazing in any real way. I think the Glenfarclas 25 kind of underwhelms. So my feeling on it is the 12 is a good starter. I'm not sure if that's the one you're referring to. I would say the sulfur note, yeah, a little bit. They also do direct fire their stills, which might be getting a little bit of that flavor. I don't think it's sulfury like Dalmore. The Dalmore 12, I think, is more sulfur. So yeah, I think if you're looking for a sherry, a cheap 12-year-old sherry, I would take Glenfarclas 12 over the Aberlour. I think the Glenfarclas has a bit more body and a bit more complexity to it. I think it's 43%. I'm mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, I don't know. The really good Glenfarclas is apparently what's called their family cask range, but those are all like, almost over $1,000 or high hundreds and hundreds. So I've never really got the chance to try any of those, but yeah, core range 12, you can't go wrong. I think the 17 I've heard good things about. The 25, while only like $150, $160, I'd save your money. Daniel said, what does everybody think about Craigellachie? That's a good question. I don't think I've had any Craigellachie. I think I've seen the 13 and the 23, but I'm not sure what else they have. I'd be curious. Jimmy T says rare breed around 38 in Wisconsin. Yeah, for sure. Jimmy, are you in Wisconsin? That's actually where I'm from. Be curious where you're at if that's where you live. DH Self said $47.99 for rare breed around him. Yeah, it looks like that's kind of that price range. Whiskey friends, pour yourself one of those teapots, Eric. That will set you up for the Boona. Man, I'll be honest. I cracked this teapot dram batch 7 2 days ago, and it's really hard to want to drink anything else. I might have to get it. I know that they've raised the price. I mean, I think I paid what it was 120 pounds. It was like $150. It's criminally good whiskey. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much I've actually drank. Let's take a look. I've been trying to be stingy with it. Yeah, I'm past the neck already. I'll kill this thing so quick. Amazing stuff. I might have to get another. This is my first one, and so I'm just amazed. So these are like distillery only for those who don't know these Glengoyne teapot drams. I think they're distillery only. This one's 59.9%. Unchill, filtered, cask strength, unbelievable stuff. There's no age statement on it, but I swear they got to have some decent age stuff in there. What did you think, Alan, compared to the any of the other ones you had? Where did you think the Teapot Dram Batch 7 landed for you? Craigellachie 22. Anyone have recommendations on the best Balcones? If you're looking for something interesting, check out the Brimstone. That is a unique whiskey. Other than that, I don't think I've had any others. I think I had one of their ryes, I think. I think their stuff is really good. They don't use high yield stuff. Everything's locally sourced. They're very transparent about their whiskey. It's really, really good stuff. Let me catch up here. I'm a little bit. Oh, you're in Appleton, Jimmy. Dude, cheers, man. I grew up in Wauwatosa, just outside Milwaukee, man. I lived there up until 2016. I'm out on the East Coast now. Cheers, man. I know Appleton really well. Good to have a Wisconsinite in the house. Solanges. D8 Self says Craigellachie 22. I think that's the year was a wow bottle. I'd like to try Balcones 15. 46% only in the UK. Yeah, for sure. DH Silva at Malmos, do you want to send a note on how to get a bottle of the Teapot Dram on? Yeah, I do. Good point. Let me just go back into my email real quick. I don't remember the name. Was it Great Drams? Oh no, I know where it was. It's shit. Where did I get that? I'll find a link for that. So the one that shipped to the States, it's, here it is. Yeah, anybody looking for the teapot dram, not cheap because you got to pay shipping. This is the link. Yeah. So folks are talking about Craigellachie. Yeah, I haven't had really any Craigellachie, so I can't speak much on it. Craigellachie 13 is solid, said Andrew Page. Jason Coates is in the house. Jason, nice to see you, buddy. Solanges, man. Thanks for joining. Neo Xerxes. Hey, Neo. Nice to see you, man. Thanks for swinging by happy hour. We're just having a couple of drams. I'm going to be heading over to Telex's channel in a few minutes here. We're going to be talking about Bunnahabhain tonight. Have you had the Johnny Walker Ghost and Rare Brora? If so, what do you think of it? I have not had the Johnny Walker Ghost. Was that just strictly the blue? Ghost was a blue, like a version of their blue, or I'm not actually even really sure. I'd love to hear more about it though. I've never had a Brora. Daniel talking about the single malt. So in terms of that teapot dram, this is better than the 06. It has to be 8 to 14 years in the 17. Okay, that's good to know. Man, that whiskey is freaking incredible. I have the higher end stuff they make. That is the base. Is what American whiskey should taste like? Oh, you're talking about Balcones. Richard says it's young. Interesting. All American single malts are young, but Texas does the job in the cask. Jason Coates is still working, but been listening. Cheers, Jason. Glad you could swing by, buddy. Yeah, I haven't had any of the American single malt stuff. I'd love to get some recommendations, though. Isn't there one out of Oregon that people have hyped on, McCarthy's? I've seen some conversation about that one a few times. But yeah, I've not had the opportunity to try any of the ones. And I know Balcones is supposed to have one. I think if it's not out already, it's coming out soon. Say what you want about Johnny Walker. This 18 ain't bad, man. I don't think it's as good as I think it's not worth it over the 15. I think the 15 is, if you're going to get a Johnny Walker, that's the way to go. But this is not bad stuff. 40% ABV though, which is kind of lame. They do a series of blue. They use heavy amount of old closed distillery juice. So they've done Port Ellen and Brora for example. Oh, you're talking about Johnny Walker. Is that the Johnny Walker Ghost? Is that what that is? Oh, I get it. Ghost of distilleries past or some shit. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that. I don't know anything about it. Johnny Walker is not a distillery that I've spent a lot of time looking at. So Johnny Walker Ghost sounds interesting. I'd be definitely interested in trying it if that's the case. Xerxes is exactly right. It seems interesting because it is a twist on the blue label formula and add some rare Brora malt. Oh, awesome. Jack Gamers had never heard McCarthy's. Yeah, it's something out of Oregon. It's let me see if I can find that for you. Yep, here it is. Apparently, this is. I'm going to give you a website that you can't order it from, but you can definitely Google it and find it yourself, Jack. This is one I've heard a lot of good things about. Lux is live. Oh, great. Yeah, I should be getting the link soon. Let me just find that for everybody. Like I said, we're going to head over to his channel relatively soon here. I had Balcones single malt review out later today. I did not think it drank young. Whiskey friend, what's up? That's awesome. Why is Johnny Walker 40% so sad? Yeah, I know, right? I don't understand. Their 15 is 43%, but they put this 18-year-old at 40. I'll tell you, it drinks better than a 40%, but look, man, and it comes in this big box like this. Like, this is clearly like just made to be given as a gift. It's not bad stuff though. Especially like, I think it's about $70, $80. Not bad stuff. Yeah, cool. All right. So here, Telex just went live, so I'm going to be heading over there soon, man. It's been so good hanging out with everybody. This is the link. I just popped it in the chat. That's the chat work. I'm going to head over to his channel soon. So if you're not subscribed to Telex's channel, that's going to be the link to find us at. I'll leave this open for a couple minutes and finish up this Johnny Walker here. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Buna. He just did a review of the Ankle-Doc, which is a Bunnahabhain I've never had before. And I'm going to do a little bit on this 10-year-old Manzanilla cask that I got. It's straight from the Bunnahabhain warehouse. And I got an old bottle of the 12 that we're going to drink on. So, all right, y'all. Hit up the link. It's been super good hanging out with everybody. Thanks for swinging to happy hour. We'll be here again next week. I'm going to continue to do 8 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesdays to do happy hour. And head on over to Telex's channel. The link is in the chat. I'll catch you over there in a few minutes. Sláinte, y'all.